What's up, guys? Tim O'Brien here. Really appreciate you tuning in again for another Facebook Live presentation. Today, I want to talk about something that I think is a real challenge for a lot of people. How do we get our prospects to pay our price, right? We know we're worth a lot. How do we get them to pay a lot? So I'm going to cover three topics today, or three subtopics, if you will. First is the power of decision. You got to decide. Second, the importance of justification, and third, standing your ground. So there are three words that are important. First, decide, justify, stand your ground, right? Or resolve. So if we do three words, is pick or select, justify, resolve. That's the key to getting your price. Now, if nothing else, the struggle that we have the inner struggles that we have about asking people to pay the price we want. We know that's a struggle for a lot of us because we feel, are we worth it? We doubt ourselves. We're more than our competitors. All those kinds of things that go through our mind, right? Sound familiar? I know it does because I'm talking to myself so often when I'm sharing my thoughts with you guys. Well, that's all the more reason why you want to work your fanny off to become the person to see. Because there's two things about the person to see that are amazing hallmarks. The first is you get to pick your clients, right? You don't like your clients, you pass on them because you have a steady stream of other clients knocking at your door. And the second thing is you get to name your price. There's it was a famous trial lawyer. It was Edward Bennett Williams, and he became the man to see. And actually, there was a book called The Man to See. And that was the genesis of how I really kind of started the concept of the person to see. And in there, it talked about how he was so much in demand and so phenomenal at what he did and had such an amazing personal brand. He literally would have people begging him to take their cases. And I remember him naming his price and how he did it. If you're a lawyer, you know that this is how lawyers bill. And if you're not, let me take a couple of seconds. Lawyers bill in 6-minute increments, right? So it's point 1 is 6 minutes, point 2 is 12, point 3 is 18, and so on as you work your way around the clock. So when a lawyer sends his bill to his clients, it's usually, 20, 30, 40, 50 pages, especially at those big, those big firms that have big clients like GM and Apple and Amazon, right? And all of these explanations. So it's how much time, what they spent their time on, like a little narrative. It takes a lot of time to bill your hours and submit your bills to your clients. What Edward Bennett Williams would do on one piece of paper, maybe an Outlook invoice, he would simply say, services rendered, $1 million. And that was his bill. Whatever it was, services rendered, 500,000. Services rendered, 2 million. And you either paid the price or you didn't get E.B. Williams. That's what we're going for. But until we get there, guys, I know there's a struggle, right? We're in our head like, is this too much money? Am I really worth this, or will people really pay it? I'm telling you right now, you're not alone in that self-doubt. But I want to share with you a really important formula that I learned a long time ago that helped me really steady my legs when it comes to asking for my price. So, and before I jump in, just want to remind you, coming soon, guys, your time is now, right? It's going to be my online coaching program. Your time is now. You're going to have a phenomenal 2020. You do not want to miss this. There's going to be some kick-ass bonuses I'm going to put in there for you that are that in and of themselves can take your game to the next level. Everything I share with you, every bonus I deliver to you is based on my own implementation of it. So I don't create products to give you, or bonuses to give you on things that did not produce tremendous value for me. So I've beta tested all of them. So stay tuned. I'm going to be advertising on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, all of the different social media platforms. Going to be sending out emails to my community. Guys, if you have not already joined, make sure you join our Facebook group. Okay, it's right there. You'll see the link right there in the description of today's presentation. You want to join it, the Person to See Facebook group. It's all about getting professionals together of our caliber, have a sense of urgency, want to produce great results, get better prospects, close more business, make more money, right? That's what we want. And at the core of that is building a phenomenal personal brand and becoming the person to see with our target audience. All right, so let me jump in here. First and foremost, you have to decide. You got to decide what you want your price to be. Here's a good example. I'm running a program right now, and it's going to be, it's a first of its kind. And what I call is time to win. It's only for college graduates, people who just graduated college up to 3 years out. So it's that 22 to 25 year range. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to teach them exactly the same tools that I taught my clients in Rainmaker U. Exactly the same tools, but I'm going to customize them to this 20 to 25 year old audience, because I know the impact I can have on these kids' lives. I know without a shadow of a doubt, because I've spoken on college campuses too many times to be uncertain about the impact that personal branding, that message can have on these kids. Moreover, is what's phenomenal and why I know I can have a tremendous impact is because I'm dealing with a virgin group, a virgin mind, people who have not had years of bad habits that I have to unwind. I don't have to convince anybody to do it differently because they're not doing it anyway now. So I get them and you see how the heightened sense of responsibility, it better be good and it better be right. So I'm in this program. Now the price point is $6,500. And when I ran my Rainmaker U program years ago, it was $6,500. So initially I thought to myself, well, I mean, that was, that was back then. And, those are for, let me turn that off. I have sorry about that, guys. I have the sound on the computer. So I was in my head like, well, that's what I charge people who were already successful and so on and so forth. Well, first of all, I'm not going to sell the college kid who just graduated because he could never or she could never afford to be in my program. She doesn't have any money. He doesn't have any money. They're just starting out in their job. Plus, I don't want to get in there and start trying to convince 22, 25-year-olds. I think it'd be really unfair for me to bring my energy and my sales skill and acumen to try to convince these young men and women to join my program. So what I'm doing is appealing to the parent, right? I want to say to them, you've just invested $250,000, right? Just $250,000 maybe in your child's education. And how would you like to have this opportunity to have your child work with a high-level professional coach that works with CEOs to teach your child in 1 year what they're going to learn over the next 10, 15 years, right? That's my mindset. Second thing is, that was years ago that I charged $6,500, right? Today, if you would work with me in a similar situation, it's a minimum $10,000, minimum $10,000. Also, I have to look and say to myself, well, if you just were going to pay me for 1 day to show up to do a presentation, that's one thing. But I host my program at the Jonathan Club and there's overhead and expenses. I also have to market it. So I have to take away from marketing for other opportunities like Your Time Is Now, or other high-end one-on-one coaching clients, or keynote speaking opportunities, or advertising on Facebook, right? So I have to take my attention away from those, those opportunities to generate income to market here. And then the question is what's the price that I want to be paid to show up and teach? And so I've said at a minimum, right? For me to, if you were going to hire me to keynote speech, right, it'd be $10,000. Well, here I'm going to do a presentation for $10,000. That's a full day. And so for me, it's a bargain. It's a bargain. And so I said to myself, I'm going to charge $6,500. I'm not going to increase it based on, inflation. I at first was like, well, maybe it's college kids and, maybe I should do it at 4,000. But I thought to myself, all I'm doing is taking money out of my own pocket. I still have to put in the same effort. It's still the same person showing up. It's still the same overhead to run the program, right? So it doesn't make sense. And so I want you to know, I have that in my mind as well. And it's a select group. It's only 10, right? What value they're going to get is, I just know based on experience. And so I'm not marketing to the college grad. I'm marketing to the parent. And I'm saying, how would you like to make one final investment in your child? Not $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, but $6,500 for me to accelerate your child's success in the marketplace right out of the gate. So I decided, that's it. It was the analysis I did in my head. I decided $6,500. That was the price. And it was based basically on math. Now, I might have been more doubtful had I been younger and earlier in my career, but I've been doing this too long and I know the value that I deliver. So $6,500 is the price point. And don't you know, I get pushback from some people. Well, it's a lot of money. First thing I think to myself is, compared to what? What other program out there like mine is going to offer your child the opportunity? Now, I don't express it like that because I'm not interested in getting into a conflict. I totally understand their point of view. But the question is have you gone through the analysis of what it's involved for me and my business to run the program? Have you thought about the value I'm looking to deliver to your child? If you're just looking for me to, you want to put your child through some program, loosey-goosey coaching program, this isn't it. And if that's the way you're thinking about it, you haven't really thought about the program. And again, it's not about having conflict because the people I'm talking to are wonderful people. I totally understand it. It's not their price point. People come back and say, somebody came back and said, well, it's a lot of money to ask for a parent or a kid to pay. And the first thing I said is, I'm not looking to ask the child to pay. I don't want the child to pay. That's why I'm reaching out to you, the parent. Do you, the parent, want to? Now, not every parent is in a financial position to be able to do that, just like not every parent's in a financial position to send their child to a private college or to Harvard or Yale, even if their child got in. They just can't afford it. And I totally understand that. I don't want a child to come into the program and have to figure out a way to pay that. They encumber even more debt down the road. It's not what this is all about. So I do get that pushback. Don't get me wrong. But I've gone through the analysis in my head at what a fair price point is. The second thing you have to do is you have to justify the price. Now, I just shared with you in my mind how I justified or how I arrived at the price, but that has nothing to do with how I justified the price externally. You follow me? When you've named your price, if you're a trainer and you're going to charge X dollars an hour, it's all good. Do that internal analysis. Why are you worth that? You've got to convince yourself first, and then you've got to prepare your package, your marketing. What's the value you add to your child, right? Or to their child? What value is the child going to get that justifies you? You've got to market. You've got to sell the features and benefits of your program. Now, I want to drill down a little bit on that in a minute, but I just want to remind you before, again, like a pause for a public service announcement. Your time is now. I don't want you to forget about it. I want you to keep it top of mind for you. It's an online coaching program going to be coming out. I'm going to crush it in 2020. I'm telling you, I'm going to share so many phenomenal strategies with you. Okay. It's going to be, it's going to be for the entire year. It's going to be one coaching program where I teach something new on the first Wednesday of the month, second Wednesday of the month. What we're going to do is have an implementation call to make sure that we cover, revisit, implement what we learned the week before. Then we go on to something new. Then the fourth month, so in the third week, we do something new. In the fourth, we do another implementation call. So it's new concept, implement, new concept, implement. The whole idea here is I want to be slow and methodical like the tortoise, but I don't want to deviate left or right. I just want to go straight ahead. And if you go straight ahead, it's impossible not to make progress. That's what your time is now is all about. All about. So I'm going to be announcing the kickoff call. I'm going to be announcing more about all the bonuses, all those kinds of things. And you're going to love it. It's going to be awesome. And in my materials is going to be my price point. In my materials is going to be my justification, why it is worth it. Just like I'm telling you, you have to do in your business. So let's jump back in. That point two, you got to justify the price. So you name the price and then you justify. You add in things that will support the price you're asking. See, a lot of people don't do it that way. They don't first decide, what do I want to be paid? And now, how do I justify getting paid? What they do is they say, here's everything, and now I'll put a price on it. When you typically do that, guys, you put a lesser price than you really want to be paid. So the very first thing to do, independent of anything you're going to offer, is what's the price? And then you come and you say, now, what am I going to do to add value? Does it make sense? I mean, you see what I mean? Like, independent of what you're going to offer, decide what you want to be paid. I'm not going to speak for a full day for anything less than $10,000. I'm just not going to do it. Now, in the beginning, when I was trying to get started, I was paid $750 a month for 2 coaching sessions. So I'm not above, don't get me wrong. I'm not like, snobby. What I'm saying is I work really, really hard, and I'm able to, command is the wrong word, but I'm able to get that price. And so all I need to do is find my target audience. So I'm certainly not going to go create a new program, add tremendous value. And the first thing I'm going to do is walk in the room for less than I can command or less than I can ask for in someplace else. Does it make sense? You see what I mean? Like, your price. Now, how do I justify it? Well, first thing I do is I justify with my credentials. I built my Rainmaker U program, over 400 people. 50% of them earn $300,000 to $500,000 a year. 10% earn over $1 million. Right? We as a group, as I calculated conservatively, have generated over $111 million in revenue, in new revenue for the members of the group, collectively, all 400. You see what I mean? Like, so that's my first thing. So I know I can deliver these results. I've also spoken on college campuses across California. I've spoken at USC, I've spoken at UCLA, I've spoken at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, Northridge, all these colleges where my message has resonated very, very well. I've had these college campuses ask me, how can I incorporate this into a curriculum for these kids? Because this is what they need. Currently working on a program for my alma mater, Catholic University, on creating exactly this kind of a program for the students at the university now as they're matriculating through the university, right? So that's the first thing, is my resume. Second thing is, what are they going to get, like, by being in the program? What are they going to get? They're going to get 4 full-day sessions. 4 full-day sessions with me, right? In between the sessions, we're going to do a Zoom call to make sure we implement things. What are we going to cover? Well, I'm going to teach your child time management. I'm going to teach your child my productivity funnel, which is goal setting. I'm going to teach your son about the importance of values and ethics as they start their career in one session only. I mean, what value is that as its own session? Number 2, I'm going to teach your child how to identify their personal brand and why personal brand is so important. I'm going to teach your child how to properly make an elevator pitch. I'm going to teach your child how to properly present themselves at an interview. That's only in session 2, and session 3 and session 4. So you can see I have loaded this. I have stacked this with tremendous value. Now, not everybody's going to be convinced by the value. As a matter of fact, like I said, 90% of the people you reach out to, 90% of the people you reach out to will say no. You've just got to hang in there for the 10% and you'll crush it. You'll absolutely crush it. So you see what I'm talking about here? What value are they going to get? Now look, when you think about your value, make sure you don't add so much value that you interfere with your ability to continue to grow your business. I want to get X dollars, which is a premium level for coaching or training or whatever the case may be. And you may command that. But have you offered too much value that takes up too much of your time and your resources, where, yeah, you're commanding the price, but you don't have any other room or capacity to go out and get more of those type of clients? So make sure that you're not overcommitting in your value because you feel guilty about the price you're asking for. Make sure it's a value that you can deliver, that it's a value that substantiates the price, but also make sure it's a value that does not eat up all of your capacity. Super, super important. I see that happen with people all the time, all the time. All right, number 3. This is a tough one for people. It's tough. It's like sales. It's like closing. You gotta have resolve, right? You gotta have resolve. You gotta stand your ground. Now look, I want to talk a little bit about this. here's a good example. In my Epic Mastermind group, if you were going to be in my group, right? There's only 10 spots. If you're going to be in my group, and I just was pitching a guy the other day about it, and we were on the phone, and I went through the entire process, told him about what the value is, all that. And we got to the close point. And I said, so what, we've been on the phone for a while, and I basically said, so love to have you, don't want it to be a hard sell, but, would love to have you. Silence. Not on his, on mine. And he probably thought like, is there an impasse? Like, are one of us supposed to say something? And the answer was no, I was asking for the sale. I didn't jump in. I didn't like panic. Probably would have been a little bit easier had we been in person, because had we been in person, he could have seen my expression that I was done selling. I just needed to know his answer. Right? See what I mean? You got to be able to have that resolve. Ask for the sale and then be quiet. Now, look, I've gotten feedback back. One person gave me feedback back about, price is kind of expensive. And I explained to him what my thinking was, because he's a good friend. And he said, you know what, I agree with you, and put his child in the program. Another guy who was originally helping me sort of start it out, he was the inspiration for it, said to me, at first I looked at the price point, and then I thought to myself, that's a lot of money. And then I thought to myself, well, if I just spent $250,000, it's not a ton of money, right? In comparison to that, if what I'm trying to get out of it is actually delivered for me. So he sort of went through the analysis himself. Then I had another person said, hey, the price point's too high. And I think it's, you asking a parent or a child for this is blah, 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 after 5 years. And my attitude is, I totally understand. I'm not asking the child, I'm asking the parent. And again, if the parent is not in a position, I understand that. But the last thing I'm going to do is start lowering my price. See, because it's better for me to say, hey, there's not a market for it, than it is for me to say, well, let me lower my price. And then I get somebody else that they think it's too high, and I lower it again and lower it again. And all of a sudden I'm showing up for a fraction of the cost of the real value that I deliver and the price that I should be paid. So you got to stand your ground. You got to be willing to lose prospects because it just doesn't fit into their budget. I go to one guy and I say to him, I'm doing this program, and he says to me, I want to put 2 people in it. Like, boom. That's what I need to focus on. Then I send it to another gentleman, and he says to me, it's fantastic. I actually like to put 2 of my children in who aren't out of college yet. They're in college, but they're doing A, B, and C, and I really would love to have your influence. And we're going to get together, and I'm going to explain that, hey, it's only for people who graduated college, but I'm going to have your guys in it as soon as they graduate. But you see my point, right? You see my point is there's a market out there, and I know it. I just have to stand my ground. I have to have the courage to have resolve. When you're deciding your price, think about where you are in your career. When I first started out, I needed clients, so my price was a little bit lower. When I started to build a reputation, I raised the price a little bit, and then continue to raise it. Does it make sense? So if we were going to if I was going to coach you today, one-on-one, $750 years ago for 2 meetings a month. Today it's $25,000 to get started. And I don't mean like to get started. I mean the basic package of coaching with me, because I know the value I bring. Just started with a new client, a CEO of a company, and I know he's like, this is awesome. Because I bring energy to the table. I bring perspective to the table. I'm an outside resource for him. I create structure. I got systems. I got tools. I know I bring that value. Without question, I know I bring that value. But I had to earn it. I had to step into it. I had to get to that level. So that's what gives me my resolve. So you got to have resolve. So again, 3 things, guys. Pick your price. Decide what you want to be paid. Number 2, then justify it. Justify it, and then have the resolve to stand your ground. Doesn't mean you're right. Maybe you have to adjust it a little bit because the initial price wasn't the right one, and there is room in there for you, but don't adjust it out of fear. Don't adjust it because you panic. Don't adjust it out of a scarcity mindset. Adjust it because it makes sense. All right, finish up here. Your time is now. One more thing. One more. Guys, here's what I want to do. I want you to be so focused like a laser beam that you are like one of those ships in the Arctic that are just pushing through the ice and just breaking it. It doesn't go like a speedboat. It goes slow and methodical, but it cuts through the deepest of ice and it just makes its way because of its power. That's what I want to do. I'm going to harness. I'm not going to. You're going to. I'm going to teach you how to harness your power. I'm going to teach you how to identify what is blocking you from unleashing that potential. And I'm going to push you. I'm going to push you to step outside your comfort zone. And I'm going to push you to get great results. I'm going to teach you what you need to do to become the person to see with your target audience. Guys, your time is now. Stop the nonsense. Stop the baloney. Stop the excuses. Stop the whatever. Your time is now. Be on the lookout because we're going to launch it and we're going to do some awesome things together. All right? And guys, remember, you are your best bet. Go!